What's up, guys? In this episode, we're going to talk about one of the most important. I'm talking about one of the absolute most important things when it comes to purchasing a home. If you're interested, you want to tune in and listen to the rest of this episode, we're going to talk about the difference between getting pre-approved and having a pre-qualification. Okay, so you don't want to leave and go do something else, stop strolling. You need to watch what we're going to talk about in this episode. What's up, guys? Wilmot here again with the Bear Group, broker by EXP Realty, here on Teach Me Tuesday. And I have the wonderful team here with me. I'm gonna let them talk and introduce themselves.
Yeah. I'm gonna jump in right quick, LaShawn, because I don't know. I
I
think
think
you
your
sound a
mic,
little muffled.
I don't know if you're on mute or
Yeah,
what,
yeah, your
LaShawn.
mic went out. But I'll jump in. No, we still can't hear you.
Can't hear
But
you.
I'll jump in right quick. Gavin Abraham, loan officer here, South Carolina. We're always serving all of South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia. So guys, excited about this episode. Excited about um, talking about understanding and knowing the difference between pre-approval and pre-qualification. LaShawn is still having a little technical difficult. Say something. I think we can hear you.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah,
Yep,
we got you
you're in
now.
there
You got
now.
Oh, okay. Well,
You're in there,
perfect.
LaShawn.
Yay. All right, well, let's get to it. Let's not prolong the time.
it. Okay.
All right. So guys, let me say this. One of the first things I always tell buyers is, I'm not trying to be, in your business or anything like that, but a lot of times if you don't have cash to buy a house, you're going to need to get approved for a home loan. Okay. And you need to make sure you're pre-approved first, and that's going to make your home buying process go way smoother than you just going without knowing what you're pre-approved for. Okay. And I just want us to really talk about the importance of that and how that really is going to help buyers move forward when it's time for them to purchase a home.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I mean, just to kick things off, I mean, I know a lot of people may be wondering, and it may be something that people know, but I think a lot of times people may not really understand, like, what is a pre-approval, and why do I need a pre-approval? Is it that,
Right.
like, if I just want to, you know, see a house or buy a house, why can't I just go look at it and then I determine, if I want to figure out this whole financing side of it. So just for those who may be wondering that, or those who may be curious about it, a pre-approval is truly just a in-depth review of your credit, your income, your assets, like Wilmot would say, your CIA, your credit, income, assets. It really helps a lender to determine your financial situation, your buying power, because those things are important when you're out exploring and shopping for a home.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, guys, it's like I'm trying to figure out like the importance of this. It's almost like having your driver's license when you're driving a car, you know,
Mhm.
out there looking for a house. You need to have that thing with you, you know.
Mhm.
You don't be want to ride, you don't want to be riding dirty out there, you know what I'm saying? With no pre-approval, you know. So, and I know some people are out there. I've had clients say this to me. Well, Wilmot, that's not going to be a problem. Pre-approval is no issue. So if it's not a problem, just go ahead and do it. If it's not a
Amen.
problem, go
Right.
ahead and get it out of the way. Guys, I can't tell you how many times I ran into that scenario where they find a house. They found a house they really wanted. And then they say, "Oh man, I need to go ahead and do my loan application." I can't so I always tell people this. I can show you the house. I can't hold it on the market. I can
That's a good
show you
point.
the home, but I
Mhm.
cannot hold it on the market. Someone can come right behind us, put an offer in that house because they're ready, their gun is loaded, and they can shoot. You can't shoot yet because you don't your gun is not loaded. All right.
You
You
had no
need to load the
bullets.
gun.
So the
Well,
pre-approval are the bullets to the gun.
It's like, yes, the bullets in the gun. Like, that's probably a better analogy or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
I mean,
giving people, a little bit more, um, that's definitely giving it to them straight. Will my,
That's it.
you need the bullets.
Hey,
But
bullet.
why are the bullets important? Why is the pre-approval so important? Why is it essential in your home buying process? It gives you an idea to clearly budget. Provides a clear understanding of how much you can afford, as opposed to a guess or an estimate. You'll know for certain, and then also it increases your credibility when you go request to view someone's home. Sellers see that you're already pre-approved. They can see that you're a serious buyer out here searching. Or you go to make an offer, they can accept that, oh, this person has done the legwork to figure out what they qualify for.
So, Gavin, let me ask you this. If you own a house, right,
Uh-huh.
and you want to sell it, do you want people looking at your house that's not pre-approved or pre-qualified?
I, you know, Me personally, I probably wouldn't,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Okay.
just because I work in this industry and I know that. I mean, I don't need you and want you all up in my house if you ain't did you can't buy it. That's
Mm.
just you being nosy.
yeah. You
And
know
I
what I
will
just thought about? Go ahead,
go
Wilma. I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
Well, I just
LaShawn.
thought about when you was asking that question, right? Because sometimes I mean, we talk to so many people and we help so many families, throughout this process. And a lot of times, what I hear, excuse me, is that, oh, I can afford it. I can afford to buy the house. Like I pay X amount in rent, which would be equivalent to the mortgage. I can afford it. So I want to make sure that people understand that affordability and what you think you can afford is not the
Mm.
same thing as your pre-approval buying process, like buying power. Like
Mm.
those are not equivalent. Just because you have paid it, you can come up with the money and things like that. That doesn't mean that a lender will truly give you a loan for that amount that you feel that you can afford. And I
Mhm.
think
Right.
that's where the disconnect comes from a lot with some people, because they
Mm.
feel like, oh, I may have, my main job on paper, then I got my side job, that I
Mm.
kind of do to help, fill in the gaps when things get a little tight or short. And they were like, oh yeah, I got money here, I got money there. But when it comes to an actual loan approval, sometimes those extra little side jobs and little pocket money and things like that can't be used towards qualifying you to
Right.
purchase.
Right, because when y'all approving someone, right, you're approving someone for the total price of the
Mhm.
property. So it's not like, hey, can you make the payment? No,
Yeah,
we're talking about this loan that could be hundreds of thousands of dollars
Correct.
that the lender is willing to loan you to trust you with to purchase that particular property.
yeah,
Okay, so
Mhm.
let's keep that in mind, guys. And then I'm gonna just be honest, it's certain properties like on a higher end, like if and sometimes the the actual agent will send me a message and say, hey, before you can show, we need to see the buyer's pre-approval. And at that point, if I can't send them a pre-approval, I can't show you that house.
mm,
Especially on these higher end properties, unless you got cash and you're saying I'm gonna buy the property cash, we can send a maybe proof of funds
Right.
to show you
mhm.
got XYZ in the account. We'll make sure we scratch out any or delete any personal data, but some people may require that, especially when you put in an offer on a property.
Yeah,
So
that's so, so true, because I mean, the essence of that is that it saves time, right? That's one of the essential parts of a pre-approval is it saves time, because you don't want to waste that seller's time by looking at their house that you can't buy, or you don't want to waste, your lender's time or your realtor's time with going out driving, looking at all these places that you can't buy. If you want to be able, the market is very competitive, even though we're in more of a seller's market right now, but the market is still competitive. So you want to be able to make sure that this process runs very smooth for you, so that you can get through it. So I think it's super important that you just really, really take heed to, the pre-approval process and the essential elements of it. Moving into something that Wilmot said in the very beginning is, pre-approval versus pre-qualifications. I think still there's a lot of misconception around, the two. A lot of people don't understand. They think they're the same thing. Oh, I'm just going to get, because people use the words
Mhm.
interchangeably. They say, oh, I'm just going to get, pre-qualified, pre-qualified, pre-qualified. And sometimes some lenders' letters just say pre-qualified, and it may truly be a pre-approval. So what I
Mm.
always like to ask when we first, talk to a new client is, have you been pre-approved? And they'd be like, no, I don't think so, or something like that. And so then I asked them, well, I kind of go a step further and say, well, do you know if they just pull credit, or have they actually, collected financials on you? And we say financials, we mean like your pay stubs, your
Mm.
W-2s, your bank statements, things like
Mm.
that. Have you turned in information that validated this, amount on this letter that you're saying? Because I think that stuff is super important. Now, Wilmot, do you see that a lot? Do you see some of your clients opt to, get a pre-qualification in lieu of a pre-approval? Or do
No,
you?
I don't. I really think there's a lot of people just don't know the difference.
Mm,
I've had people come to me and say they're pre-qualified, and
mm,
then if because I've been told by you guys that there is a difference between your
Mhm.
pre-qual and your pre-approval. I know that that pre-approval stands on more, than just a pre-qualification. Okay, certain things might not have been checked. Let prime example, guys. Let me go into a little rabbit hole real quick. Let's say you get your pre-qualification, right? And they just skim the surface of your financials, right? Certain things that you need. You get into, let's say the seller accepts your offer, you put the offer in on the property. We get down the road. The lender then digs deeper into your financials, which they will do, and they find something that was not on the surface level. Okay. At that point, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 days may have passed by. And we're at a point where the lender says, well, I didn't know you had this debt, or I didn't know this was on your credit report, or whatever. Something comes up. At that point, the lender says they can no longer lend you that pre-qualification amount. Now you have wasted time. We probably are going to have to kill the deal if
mm,
your lender has exhausted all options. And at that point, you know, you might be in a situation where the seller may, I mean, this is a very touchy topic too, about the
mm,
earnest money. A lot of times, if it's a default on the loan, and everything, seller will release the earnest money. However, just be mindful. It has to be a decision on both parties to release that earnest money. So I just want to make sure that's clear on that. Oh, well, I want my earnest money back. Well, hold up. We have to make sure the seller is in agreement with that as well. Okay.
Mhm.
So I just want people to understand, like, that could happen. Your heart could be broken if you don't go ahead and get that pre-approval done. And I'm not saying that's like edged in stone as well. You know what I mean? Like, there's still some things that possibly could come up, but they're less likely with a pre-approval than a pre-qual.
Correct.
Correct me if I'm wrong, guys.
No,
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 you're
no.
absolutely
Well said. I mean,
Mhm.
absolutely. Because again, we can run across and come across things, and of course, as you learn from prior mistakes earlier on in career. I'm sure we all made mistakes to where we took you know a borrower may have a great credit score, a 700, 800 credit score, and they show you bank statements that shows they got 40, $50,000 in the bank.
Mm,
But guess what? We forgot to get pay stubs. We can see that they get these large deposits from their employer. They make X amount of dollars, but
mm,
man, we forgot to get pay stubs. And on this pay stub, we may have pre-approved them for a $700,000-$800,000 pre-approval or pre-qualification, right? But on the pay stubs, when we get that after they go into contract, on their pay stub, they're getting their wages garnished because they
mm,
owe taxes or they owe child support, and we have to count that against them. But you
Mm,
know what? We didn't because we never collected their pay stubs. We didn't know. So now this comes
mm,
up after we've issued a pre-qualification. So that's one of those things to where, yeah, man,
wow.
you know, everything can look good on the surface level, or you can tell me that everything is good, and I take that at face value. That's pre-qualifying you. You giving me something at face value is me pre-qualifying you. Me taking the me gathering documentation to support what you're telling me in an application is me pre-approving you.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I love that. And so the only thing I would add to that before we wrap up for today's session is I think a lot of times, because you know, I've been doing this now for almost 10 years, and I've hear so many comments and feedback from why the lender asks for so much information. They think that, either the lender is against them getting the loan, and little do they know we want to give you this loan as bad as you want the loan, because this is how, we
Absolutely.
take care of this lifestyle that we have. But I think sometimes people just don't know what they don't know. And in
Right.
that
Right.
process, they may not know to tell the lender, oh yeah, I do pay child support and they have been garnishing my wages. Because sometimes I think that's why it's super important to work with experienced lending professionals, because Gavin and I know from experience not to just say, hey, do you pay child support? But just ask maybe another two or three questions with that. Oh, you do pay child support. Okay, are you paying this voluntarily or involuntarily? Because there is a
Mm,
difference, a
mm,
lien versus a liability. So being able to, competently have conversations with people like that, so that we can make sure we can avoid some of these pitfalls that may come up during the pre-approval process that can, derail a person from purchasing a home.
right. Right. I'm gonna say this, and we can end it. The thing I love about Gavin and LaShawn is they're thorough. Okay, that's number one. Okay, they also will try to exhaust all options, guys.
Mhm.
One of the things I realize in this business, you got to be able to figure out problems, right? The better you are at figuring out problems, the better you're going to be in this business.
That's
So
right.
like it's just one of those things. And I just want y'all to know that if you do need uh I just want to make sure y'all understand, to make sure you're honest with them, because guess what? It's gonna come to light. You know what I'm saying? So might as well just go ahead and tell them up front, because they're gonna have to pull documents and have certain documents to justify this amount of money they're gonna lend you. And you don't want to lie about something to them, because they're gonna find out they're gonna need documentation for whatever you saying that you're getting, receiving, or paying out. Okay. All right. Well, guys, that was another great episode of Teach Me Tuesday. I hope the people got something from that. If you have any questions about pre-approval, the loan process, the home buying process, I'm here. Gavin's here. LaShawn's here, and we'll be more than happy to help you, serve you, help you reach your real estate goals. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. Signing off.
All right. See you guys next time, next week.
Peace.